What do you want 50 years from now, history to say about Kamala Harris?
I hope that, and I really do work that my life will have proven to have been a life that is about fighting for the people.
The cost of that softball interview was a whopping $500,000. That is what the Harris campaign provided to Al Sharpton's nonprofit prior to her sit-down interview with Sharpton, and that's certainly raising some eyebrows. Certainly because, it goes against common journalistic ethics. But nonetheless, the Harris campaign made two separate $250,000 donations to Al Sharpton's National Action Network, an anti-discrimination group, on September 5th and on October 1st, the second coming weeks before Sharpton interviewed Harris on the network. Now, Sharpton did not mention the contributions that the Harris campaign made to his nonprofit at all. There was no disclosure about it whatsoever. And as far as MSNBC goes, they told Chuck Ross at the Washington Free Beacon that they were unaware of the campaign donation or the donation to the nonprofit owned by Al Sharpton. Now, that could be true, I don't know, but MSNBC would not confirm whether they're considering reprimanding Sharpton, if there's gonna be any consequences for this. Now, the Society of Professional Journalists also told the Free Beacon, while Al Sharpton may not consider himself a journalist, many viewers do. When TV news broadcasters do not report their conflicts of interest or conduct their work in ways that run counter to ethical journalism, it builds distrust among their audiences and places a black eye on both their network and the profession. So, earlier, I think it was last week, we had Representative Ro Khanna on the show, and we asked him the questions we wanted to ask him. Had Ro Khanna provided a donation to a nonprofit that doesn't exist, I don't have a nonprofit, I would at least have to disclose that to you, but that would be a conflict of interest. I wouldn't have taken that money to begin with, because that money influences the way you're gonna carry out this interview.
Okay, can we just be honest? Al Sharpton is the original grifter. So if you don't know, back in the days in New York, anytime there was any kind of racial conflict, this fat ass would show up in a jumpsuit, and he would demagogue against Jews, by the way, specifically, and get people super mad to the point where they nearly attacked Jewish people. And he was a menace, an absolute menace in the New York area, okay? And then all that got magically forgiven. Why did it get forgiven when that stuff never gets forgiven?
Why did it get forgiven?
Because he decided to embrace professional corruption. He was running 2-bit scams back in the day because he didn't know any better, right? But he's a smart guy, so he wisened up and he's like, oh, the way the professionals do this is they kiss the ass of the donors, they kiss the ass of the politicians, and they get the real money, the big money. And did he shake down a lot of businesses saying, hey, if you don't give me money, I'm gonna call you racist? Okay, go ahead and catch feelings. Yes, he did, okay? And do you wanna know how Comcast was allowed to merge and actually acquire NBC and MSNBC? They had a massive race problem. Al Sharpton came in and said, no, they don't have any race problem. Guess where Al Sharpton wound up? Hired by Comcast at MSNBC. Funny how that works, right? He got way better on his grift, okay? And he's been taking this kind of money his whole life, and that's why he does the softball news. That's why if you criticize Al Sharpton in the old days, people are like, God damn, yes. Now, if you criticize Al Sharpton, they go, oh, well, you're being a racist, racist. No. Why? Because he's now part of the establishment. So now his new mob, the establishment cartel, protects Al Sharpton, and as he runs the scam time and time again. And there he is sitting on Morning Joe as they lecture about good journalism, a story we covered earlier in the show, right?
Wow.
Come on.
Look, I knew some of that about Al Sharpton. I didn't know about him shaking down businesses in New York with allegations of racism.
Oh, it went on and on. He was in the middle of creating riots. So he would go into the most, like flammable situations, for lack of a better word, and he would come in there with a match and start lighting things on fire, right? And when he went after it, he said, oh, the Jews are running these businesses and riled people up against Jewish Americans. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen. And okay, so that happens from time to time with a Nick Fuentes, et cetera. But Nick Fuentes is like
persona non grata.
Yeah, he's
right?
totally shunned by everyone who's legitimate. But Al Sharpton welcomed with open arms. Why? Because he switched up his grift. And he realized the establishment grift is the best grift of all. You set up a nonprofit, they funnel you $500,000, you kiss their ass on air, and if anybody accuses you of anything, you just call them racist. So he's been playing identity politics his whole life. He's nothing but a grifter. So if any of you catch feelings over that because you were part of his grift and he donated a little bit to your show or he donated a little bit to your organization, by the way, that's a smart way to run the grift. What you do is you dole out a little tiny taste of the money you got from giant corporations, etc., so that everybody shuts up about the scam that you're running. So there you go. And look, I didn't say any of it was illegal. It's my opinion that he's a giant grifter, okay? And you could look up all that information on your own.
I mean, I think Boris Epstein should have Al Sharpton on retainer for how to professionalize his grift.
Yeah, Boris is an amateur compared to Al Sharpton.
Wow. I did not know the story was going to take that direction, but I'm here for it.
Can I look?
Keep going.
Yeah. So back when I left MSNBC, I got a call from a legendary New York reporter who reported on Sharpton and Trump throughout his whole life. Okay.
Yeah.
He said, "Do you know why Sharpton got the job at MSNBC?" I said, "I don't have any idea. I don't care. What happens after I leave is immaterial to me. I chose to leave.
Right.
That has nothing to do with anyone else." He's like, "Yeah, but I'm going to tell you anyway." Okay. And he's the one that explained to me how Comcast had and he reported on this earlier, had massive racial issues with how they treated black employees. Sharpton comes in and goes, "No, I declare them non-racist. They have no racial problems at all."
Wow.
And then he gets what is likely a multi-million-dollar deal from those same exact executives to work at MSNBC. And that's how this establishment game is played. That's why I didn't want to play that game. I hated that game, and they hate me for hating that game. They're like, "Why don't you just go along, man? We got a nice little grift going here. We tell everybody how great the Democrats are, and if anybody criticizes any Democrat or any of us or anyone in media, we just call them racist. It's the easiest scam in the world."
But Cenk, I thought we were the grifters.
Oh, that's hilarious. Wayne Barrett, by the way, was that legendary New York reporter. You should look into all the things that he wrote about Al Sharpton back in the day. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.